Hey there, welcome back to the Work Cultured podcast. Thanks for tuning in, audio or video, whichever it is. We have today with us a guest, Balazs Nagy. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Yeah, so Balazs was one of the founders of New Push almost 25 years ago, I think. Was the CTO for quite some time and has recently transitioned to CEO. One of the founders, you've had a slew of people come in and out in leadership, but why don't you tell us about yourself and what kind of slid you into that CEO role?
Yes. So you're not mincing your questions. You're starting off right with the hard ones, right? So why not? Originally, we started the company because we felt that there was no strong technology available for small, mid-sized businesses. And the few of us decided that what's available for the enterprises, we want to make it available for small and medium businesses. I came originally from Hungary. I was born under communist Hungary. And so I had this streak for fair business, which you couldn't do under communism. And also very techy. So all of us were very techies who started. And then, it evolved. And as you need to be good at providing good technology for your customers and keep them up and running, it evolved for us to security. So that's how I ended up in cybersecurity. Also because I was fascinated by cryptography and hackers and things like that since I was very young. I'm lucky that we didn't have the money for a modem at the time when I could have been in trouble, because I might have been war dialing, who knows.
Yep. I mean, this is a big topic these days. I mean, it should have been for much longer, but everybody's talking about cybersecurity now. Have you seen an influx in queries within the business?
Yeah, it's interesting because everybody's talking about the lack of enough expertise, cybersecurity expertise. At the same time, what people mean is like experienced, competent cybersecurity. So there's no lack of companies. Companies are mushrooming everywhere. You have, people realize that, hey, this is a good, niche market, or not even as much niche anymore. It's so huge to come into. Also from the job market's perspective, there's a lot of people, I want to have a career in cybersecurity. There's a need for experts. And it's not that easy, actually.
Yeah. It's not just something that anybody can jump into.
Yeah. So now you're tapping into something interesting. You being a big YouTuber and strong on your podcast, you may have researched that topic, obviously, so you know more than me, possibly. But if you go and search on cybersecurity for YouTube, you will notice that the majority of the podcasters that dominate, with the 100K plus followers, they're all about teaching cybersecurity. So they will the top trending is how you get into the cybersecurity space. And wow. and those guys, if you listen to them, they will tell you that you have to have a basic background on IT, on computer science, and maybe even programming some. If you look at NSA's mandate for schools, so those institutions that have an NSA-approved cybersecurity program, there's a ton of basics that NSA requires for you to get that certification. So all that, yes, goes to the short answer to your question is, you need a lot more to get into cybersecurity than just to take cyber classes.
Wow, yeah. I want to hear more about that, but I've already gotten off the track of what I normally would do. I'm going to ask you the same question that we usually ask right out of the gate. And that'll get our juices flowing a little more, moving into the topic of culture. So I want to know, what is a mistake that you've made in leadership that you'll never forget?
Okay, so this is really a tough one because you need to get vulnerable, to admit to your mistakes in the first place. And I remember the day I made the realization that it's not enough to have a high-performing team. You have to make sure to retain the best talent. You have to make sure there's many things, but for me, what was the biggest mistake I made, that I haven't paid attention to creating a sense of belonging, so that people don't just feel like this is a job, but people feel like that every day they wake up to make a difference. And there's many components to that, but to create a sense of belonging, that was maybe the biggest realization, to be intentional about that.
Yeah, and I want to hear more about how you've overcome that, because one of the challenges that you face is an international employee base. Is that correct?
Yes, and you're right, because you touched on one of the interesting aspects of creating a sense of belonging. Part of it is you need to first make sure that everybody feels on the same team, that you don't have, people who talk about, these guys are on this team or that team. In our case, we are present in North America, so mostly the US, but some people in Canada, in Latin America, mostly in Chile, actually, around Santiago, and then in Europe, mostly in Budapest and the surroundings. Hungary is actually a smaller country than the city of Mexico City. So, we're in Hungary, we're less than 10 million people. So to put in perspective, I think the New York metro area is over 12 million people. So that you can have a whole country that's smaller than the New York area. So that's the hardest. First, to make sure that all your teams are feeling in one, and that they feel like they have this sense of belonging to this one place, not just across the cultural divides, but the time zone divides, the topic divides, the way to approach the problems. So it's challenging.
Are there some strategies that you've implemented specifically to address that challenge?
So I would say that the class of strategies here are the strategies in human behavior. So I would basically say that I had to actually study strategies in human behavior, and I had to go outside of my shell of an IT guy trying to solve IT problems, and start to take other people's perspectives. I'm very lucky. I had really good mentors along the way. But first, you need to open yourself to that fact that there is a lot more out there than technology that you need to be really attuned to, and you need to become intentional about taking people's perspectives, looking at their culture. You have to constantly build trust and confidence. So that's an ongoing struggle, and you have to keep raising your level of consciousness. As they say in the book, the 15 commitments of conscious leadership, to keep being above the line. That's a constant work. I would maybe not call it struggle, but it's a constant effort to keep getting to the next level.
Yeah. You're saying so many things. You're even quoting books that make me think you have actually spent time with one of my other podcast guests called Meg Pogue. She's a leadership consultant, and it's the exact same language. Constantly building trust and confidence, the 15 commitments, staying above the line, studying human behavior, taking other people's perspectives. You just gave us a lot of gold in one very short amount of time.
Thank you. I never heard of her, but now you want me to. I'm going to check out the podcast you made with her.
Absolutely. Yeah. She was early on. So, okay. Not only do you have international employees, and you have to create a sense of belonging for people that they're not only not in the same room, they don't speak the same language, they're not working the same time zones. And also, aren't most of them probably software engineers? And I ask because I think about software engineers, and I don't think about the outgoing, extroverted types who more easily fall into a sense of belonging in community. It takes them a little long. My son is painfully introverted. It takes him a long time to feel connected and to feel that sense of belonging. Have you seen that as a struggle as well?
Well, I myself am introverted, but kind of life beat it out of me in a sense. So in order to survive, you had to deal with being able to be effective as an extrovert. So to put on an extrovert kind of coat, and work like that. But truly, if I had a choice, I would be in my cave and just work and just code, and stuff like that. You mentioned software developers. The funny thing is that some of us have a software developer streak, but a very few people on our team can actually spend most of their time coding. Because when you're a security engineer, you're expected to deal with day-to-day security problems. So you may be assigned to the endpoint detection team. You may be assigned to the managed detection response team. You may be assigned to the vulnerability management team and look at those scanner results and things like that. So each of our team members have their own specialties. And while, those who are very strong in their coding drive, they get to have, opportunities, especially now with AI. It's amazing, what you can do with some AI help. And but that's not necessarily their main.
Okay. Yeah. When you think about your employee base, what do you think is the key aspect, or do you have some secret sauce that has helped you create a positive culture across multiple countries and time zones and et cetera?
I don't necessarily know if I have a secret sauce, but I always try to be very optimistic and kind of be viral about energy, so every Sunday night, to be ready for the Monday morning Happy Monday newsletter, every Sunday night I record, a video message to everyone where I kind of share all the accomplishments of the week prior, so that people can see all the work that's being done across the teams. In fact, it just gave me an idea, because I think I'm gonna use that also to improve the sense of cohesion amongst the different types of teams. So sometimes people are not aware what each team's is doing, and I think I will include the. Sorry, you're making me think here, because that's
Yeah. Hey, that's awesome.
And I feel like, it's important to strike the balance of not highlighting, oh, this is this team who did it, or that team, because then you have a risk of pitting the teams against each other.
Right.
But at the same time, you do want to highlight, so people get encouraged. Oh, I did that. I'm proud of it. So I'll take on that challenge that you maybe inadvertently just threw at me right now, to try to get that energy through, that movement, and also highlight more as I want to meld the team and create that sense of belonging. So thank you. Great.
Yeah, no, that's great. Brainstorm all you need to. Were you doing these video newsletters even prior to being the CEO?
Actually, no, because after I became the CEO, I had one of my lieutenant who, we did the Happy Monday newsletters, and then they were getting longer and longer, and then people felt like, okay, what's important in it? And I don't necessarily have time to read it all. And this way, if I do the video, and frankly, Anthony Pompliano gave me the idea, because every day he's recording a newsletter, and he's recording, he's literally reading his newsletter. And so first I was reading, but people were like saying, no, don't read it, just give me your take on it. And so now, I don't read the whole newsletter. I just which would be like a 20-minute read max, so it's still not super long, but now the video is more like 10 minutes long, and it's the highlights, and it's my take on what's going on, and that's it's I get good feedback on that. In fact, sometimes, I have people who come back and they highlight, so they take what I said on the video and then they highlight it in the newsletter, and they're asking me a question about that. So what did you mean about that? Can you give me more details on this topic or that topic? It really allows me to feel more engagement, honestly.
Yeah. And about how many employees do you have worldwide?
So we have about 53, and I say about 53 because at that size you're constantly hiring and people are moving on. So so we have actually currently 2 people joining and another couple maybe leaving. So we have that type of flux.
Yeah. 53 is not wouldn't normally be an about number. That's very specific, but it sounds like it's in flux.
Well,
So that makes
because
sense.
that's the number that I saw on the last status.
Yeah.
But I know that we have people joining and people leaving, so it could be that with the joiners and leavers now at 55, and tomorrow it's back to 54. Something like
No
that.
doubt. No doubt. Now, you told me something before we started recording, that, not everyone knows how to pronounce Balazs Nagy. And so there's this Big B nickname. Where did that come from? And who's calling you that?
So again, that goes back to Anthony Pompliano. He sent out an email like 3 years ago, roughly, saying, "Hey, he's gonna start a crypto class. Who's in?" And I'm like, "I'm all in, man." And so we did this try class with him. We were like a beta cohort, and there was 20 of us. And then at the end of the cohort, he's like, "Okay, so who wants to be a coach?" And I'm like, "I'm in." And so it's been 3 years now. I've been a coach for Palm's crypto class, and Kenny, who's leading the instruction, he's one day, he's like saying Big B, because people were like trying to say, okay, it's Balazs, it's and so he came up with that, and then all the students picked up on that, and they loved it. So now I have like about 2,000 students who are used to me like in this nickname. So.
Wow. And where are these students? Is it all online cohorts?
Yeah, so it started during COVID, and so it's basically online, and we have students in each cohort from basically all over the world. In fact,
Wow.
I may have understated because we may be going towards more like 3,000 cohort members at this point, but
Wow.
a cohort is around 100 people usually.
Okay. What age are the students? Are they high school or college?
Over the youngest student we had was 12 years old, and the oldest, I don't know, but I had many students older than me. So it's people who are sometimes interested. In fact, interestingly, one of our first customers from 25 years ago. So as you mentioned, we were founded 25 years ago, almost 25. In November, it's going to be 25. So we're a few months shy of our anniversary. And she hits me up out of the blue. At the time, she was managing an organic farm, kind of they were marketing that. And very first customer, she hits me out of the blue, and I'm saying what I'm doing. She's like, "I'm all in. I wanna join." Now she's like an investor. She had a good exit, and she's investing in other companies. But so that was, she probably wasn't our oldest student, but 25 years of relationship, that dates you.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, so I was curious because like I said, I have a son who's 15, and his high school here in Austin, it has a really big computer science program where they have tons of clubs, and one of them is called Cyber Patriot, and it's all about cybersecurity, and like they do these hackathons and statewide and national competitions, and I don't know much about it other than I'm trying to really encourage him to get into it because he loves computer science. Any advice or tips for me as a dad or anybody else listening who has kids interested in this world?
Oh, so I have 4 kids. One of them in college, and the youngest one is just a year and a half. So
Oh
I
my.
have a big spread, and I would say that you need to let the kids live their own path, their own lives, but you can certainly encourage and be there. It's really important for them, the quality time, and even when you feel like it's not a quality time, in the sense that they looks like they're not paying attention or looks like they're not interested. I can give you a couple of examples in that. First of all, from me when I was very young, my dad is a nuclear physicist, and that's how I actually jumped into the web and all that, because I was there where they invented it. In '91, when I was there when the email got sent out, "Hey guys, try this." And so I was like, "Oh, that's cool, but it's not gonna change the world." I literally thought that, so it's crazy. But then I went on playing with other toys, but there at the European Center for Nuclear Research, there was tons of toys to play with. I was in my teens then. My dad sat us down. I was 8 years old, to talk about how the atom works, and he explained to us, with me and my sister, how the hydrogen atom and how there is a nucleus in the center and the electrons that run around and all that, and then we seemed like we weren't interested, so he gave up. And actually, this trigger for me helped me win physics competitions, very
Wow.
high level physics competitions, because he, even though he didn't realize at the time and he gave up, but for me, it planted the seeds of understanding physics at such a deep level at the age of 8 that others, don't get to do without a lot more effort. So
Yeah.
so my first thing is even if there's a topic you're feeling like shy of explaining, or you feel, oh, maybe it's too complicated, whatever, don't worry about what you see as a feedback from a child. They look like they're not paying attention, but they're actually processing it. So that
Sure.
would be my first feedback from that. And then the other is about I mentioned to you about the quality time. Is it's not just whether you're there. Is they're actually really attuned whether you're paying attention. So if you go to the football game or a soccer game or whatever, or you take them to karate, whatever you do, if you pull out your phone, it's
Mm-hmm.
better be to take a picture of them, okay? Don't pull out your phone to check your email. That would be, because otherwise you just negated the whole value of being there and having taken them there, because they'll be like, oh, dad doesn't care, and they're
Yeah.
watching. I promise you they're watching. So even though if you feel like they don't care whether you're here, they really do care. So sorry to get on my soapbox, but I think I have a tiny bit of authority with the 4 kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And the phone thing, there's more and more studies that talk about the psychology of just a phone being on a table. It doesn't matter if it's face up or face down. If the phone's on the table, there's this background assumption that we're not together. Like there's something creating distance between us. And I think that's really felt by kids. But it's also hard for kids and for adults to put those phones away and really stay engaged. So that's very sage, sound advice, I think.
You know what? I think this is an amazing advice as well for the phone on the table. I'm going to pay attention to that, because I have this reflex and I really don't need to get it out of the table. I have my wearable purse here. I can just slide it in there.
Yep. Yep.
you know.
Yeah. Are you wearing the jacket at home at the dinner
Yeah,
table as well?
the jacket
The
is
blazer?
well, I can wear something lighter at home, but at home I can just put it in my back pocket or whatever,
Right.
if I have to.
Right.
But at home, usually I just put it on the charger. So at home is not as much of an issue. Although,
Yeah.
if you ask my wife, she may have a different opinion. So I don't want to sell
Yep.
myself too high here. But it's really, when you go out, I think that's a great advice. Don't put it out on the table. Just leave it in your pocket. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, as we kind of transition to closing out the podcast, which, by the way, thank you so much for the wisdom and all the golden nuggets here. I want to give you a chance to do a shameless plug. Is there anything that you want to promote or talk about before we transition?
Yeah, so you mentioned cybersecurity, and you may have an opinion on that. But what we realized is there is like a huge gap in between when you finish like a higher ed institution and you have your diploma, or maybe you just took some classes and you have a certification. The 5th year, when you can actually get your CISSP, which is like a recognized standard for cybersecurity professional. The CISSP is really the hardest exam I had to do, and yet it doesn't guarantee that you have seen everything, but it gives you like a pretty good pedigree. So many people are going for the CISSP, but in between there's 5 years. And even though you have a lot of institutions now that have like NSA certified cybersecurity classes and all that, they don't, when you're an employer, you don't really know what you get. And basically we felt that we can help that. As a cybersecurity company, like having been an MSP for MSSP for now a couple decades, we have seen so much, and we constantly see real life situations. And so we decided to turn those real life situations into exercises that cybersecurity students can do. So we basically created a program that we just call it ad hoc. The letters are ADHD, and we basically go partner with higher ed institutions to instill this to their program, so that students get to solve real life scenarios that our engineers or other engineers had to solve in real stressful situations, but in this case they don't have to go through the stress. So I don't have a website to send you, I don't have anything, but if you guys are interested, probably my contact info will be down below, as they usually say. And so feel free to hit me up on it. But that's what I'm working on right now. And in fact, with the first university, which is the largest by some measure in Hungary here, where I'm sitting here for this interview, I'm starting to teach the CTEM curriculum in a week. So I'm very excited about that, and we're trying to roll this out to many universities. We have already 3 partnerships in the US, 3 higher ed institutions, and we're trying to enlist more and more, because I believe that it's very important that cyber experts that graduate, they have seen real world scenarios in all of the major topics in cybersecurity, so that when you hire them, so first of all, you're more confident hiring them as a cyber company, and that when you hire them, you know that they can actually take it right off the ground, and you don't have to teach them the basics.
Right. Wow. That's really cool. I definitely want you to keep me up to date when you have more information on that, especially a URL and all that. That's really cool.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Well, let's jump into the quick fire. So I'm just going to say 2 things, and you pick which one, and then we will sign off. It's not that hard. So first of all, night owl or a morning person?
Night owl.
Night owl? Oh, really? Okay. Video games or TV shows?
Video games.
Do you prefer to call or text?
Text.
Okay. Google or Microsoft?
Google.
All right. And then finally, beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Mountains? Okay. Awesome. Well, hey, Balazs, thank you so much. We've enjoyed having you on the show here. We'll put links and contact info in the show notes. But yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jason. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Balazs Nagy, or Big B of New Push. Thank you so much. You've been tuning in to Work Cultured, and we'll see you next time.